Underneath all these sticker bushes is a 285 International diesel tractor, 4x4. We're going to work on unburying it. Alright, we got some of the sticker bushes out. We're able to see about the back half of the tractor now. Still got a ways to go. Alright, we've got most of this side cleared out. The tractor's almost uncovered. So we just got a little bit left to do. I'd say we're probably about 50% of the way there. Alright, we're getting closer and closer. We're going to keep going on this side a little bit. I got to empty all the water out of that tub. And then we'll try and get the front of this Connex cleared up. Alright, this is where we're leaving it for the night. We got quite a load. We'll let this sit in the back of the bed so that way it can die off, and we'll burn it tomorrow. I'm going to come back over and blow all this off my neighbor's driveway. And we'll finish this up when I got time. Working on getting the old girl uncovered. Already started working on it. Just a little bit of water down in the exhaust there. It's a little overfull on oil, so I bet there's water in the pan. And I'm just going to pull the intake off as well. And I'm working on getting the tank off so that way I can clean it out before filling back up with diesel before the test fire on this thing later. Diesel in this tank is about 6 years old or so, and it's filled completely to the top. You can see all the rust. So I'm going to empty this out before I pull the tank off just to limit mess. So I'm going to disconnect it right before the fuel filter there, so that way I can just empty it into a can. Let's get it done. So next here I'm going to be pulling the exhaust and the intake off to clean out all the debris in the water, and so that way I can get to the tops of the cylinders and spray a little bit of ATF and probably some acetone down there to knock out some of the corrosion or the water or whatever's gotten in there over the years of it sitting. I was right, this thing was plumb full of water, so it's a good thing I pulled this off before I tried cranking the engine over, because probably bent some valves if I tried. Yeah, it was really nasty in here. I might try and get this gasket ordered. I could probably reuse it, but I don't know if it's worth the risk of intake leaks and exhaust leaks and such, so might see if I can find one. Alright, working on draining out the last of the fuel, and then I was working on getting that bolt out. This particle board stuff needs to go for sure. I'm going to try and cut out a new piece out of something that's not particle board, hopefully, to replace it. But that bolt, I think, is going to need some penetrant fluid before I go reefing on it. I don't want to break it because I don't know if it goes into the radiator or not. But we're getting somewhere. I've already emptied about 7 gallons of diesel out of it, so let's keep her going. I'm down here pretty late pouring ATF down each cylinder just to make sure that she's freed up. I got all the water out of the oil, and hopefully now all the ATF will just seep past the rings and make sure everything's nice and smooth. So that way when I go to turn it over, it doesn't try and bend a rod or scar a cylinder. So what I can tell right now is that it's locked up, it's not moving. I've been putting a pry bar on the front crank bolt there, and it's just not moving. So I think I'm going to pull the glow plugs next. They're on this side. And I'll start pouring fluid down those, so that way it's straight into the cylinder instead of on top of the valves. And might pick up some Marvel Mystery Oil to help out. Alright, so these are the glow plugs. I'm going to work on getting them pulled, so that way I can start filling them up through this hole. I would pull the injectors, but I'm worried that they're not going to seal once I put them back on. So work on pulling these out. Alright, so we're still working on clearing it out for the neighbor. I'm going to see if he'll sell me this vintage canopy under here for my truck. And I'm letting the tractor soak, because right now it's not getting any movement. So we'll see where it goes. Alright, so we got even more cleared out. I'm going to bring something over tonight to cover this, and then I'll pick this up tomorrow. So after 3 days of this thing soaking, it's still not working. So poured some ATF down the exhaust and intake, so that way it can sit on there and hopefully break up whatever's still stuck. I've also been putting ATF down the glow plugs, and I've been trying to bust this crank loose, but it's just tightening the crank bolt, and I really don't want to snap nothing. So I'm gonna let this soak for a little bit longer, see what happens in a couple days. All right, so we got the tractor unseized. The canopy is up. We're gonna empty this out so we can put the canopy on it, and then I'll keep working on this before I put the starter on it. All right, the canopy is ready to go on the truck. That's unseized. Truck is empty. We're gonna get that loaded up on here next. All right, I got the wood moved. We got this pile to take, and then the truck is full of garbage, and I gotta get that tire. And then once I haul all this off, this area will be pretty much done, cleaned at least. So this is the aftermath after yesterday. There's still a little bit more stuff that I gotta pull out of the bushes, but we did get this mounted. It's a little rusty and dented and such, but I think it looks pretty cool. I'll at least be able to use it for if I want to keep some stuff slightly dry because of the holes. But yep, we're gonna figure out where to put this wood and get rid of all the metal and the old hoses and stuff too. Alright, this is the update. I don't think I'm doing anything else over here unless that canopy falls. The neighbor wanted to keep it. And then tractor's turning over with the battery now. There's a bunch of ATF all over the place, but I'll end up, it's on plywood, so I'll throw those away once the tractor's moved. And I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer before I put the glow plugs in. And then once the glow plugs are in, I can fire it up and see if it'll drive. The hydraulics were giving me some fits earlier. This was up, so the 3-point went up with, and then I shoved it down, and once I was cranking on it again, they went back down. So we're getting there. I have to kind of jerry rig all the bolts and stuff because the guy who pulled it apart never put it back together or left the bolts or anything. So I've got to figure that out for the hood and the console and everything, which is all over here. But I don't need any of that to get it running and driving. So we'll see. And then once I get it started, I'm gonna change all the fluids, hydraulic fluid, oil, everything. All right, so this is all the steering gearbox stuff out of that International tractor, and I got it soaking in dish soap water right now, so that way I can clean these up and hopefully put it all back together. All right, I've got it full of diesel. I got this primed, got the glow plugs put back in. Let's see if it'll fire up. Forgot the idle up armature is not connected, so I'll have to, I need multiple hands. Go for foot. All right. Oh man, we're so close. Alright. I just gotta give it, I think, a little bit more throttle. Give it some more glow plug. Super close. I filled all the cylinders with ATF, so it might still be trying to get rid of some of that. But it definitely seems like it's primed. So when I gave it some gas, it was definitely Trying. Where's this guy? Yeah, it's definitely pumped up. All right. Go live. Oh man, so close. I'd say it runs pretty good. All that white and black smoke is definitely from the ATF. I'm covered in it right now, flying upwards. All right, I'm gonna fire it up and see if I can't drive it out of the hole it's in. Alright, well I drove it to here. I still need to fix the steering box or buy one. And the tires are flat, so I'm going to fill the front tires up. See if I can't drive it home on the right and left brake. And the clutch is stuck, so I'll see about getting that undone as well. Today's episode, we're trying to figure out if you can drive home with only one working brake and no steering. Got a ratchet strapped on both sides. We're kind of having to 2-foot the thing. Luckily we've got one good working brake. We're just kind of making do with what we got. See how far we make it before I gotta call for help. Alright, so I made an adjustment. I made it to where it turns more to the right than it does to the left. So that way I can use the good working brake to turn. So now I can straighten myself out. No steering wheel, no hood, no nothing, just kind of cruising along. And slow movement, but We are moving. It's so cool. All right, so with no steering, no clutch, one working brake, and some ratchet straps, I was able to drive it from my neighbor's place to my place. This is how it sits right now. I gotta order a bunch of stuff, and then we'll start piecing it back together and getting it fixed up. So, see you on the next one. So this is where it's sat. I just gotta come and grab my tub and all of my parts, and then we'll see where it goes from there.